US-donated weapons has no chance against Russian jamming. A secret has been revealed that Ukraine is being used by the US as a weapons testing ground in the context of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. However, according to the US publication Defense News, the Pentagon has discovered that the effectiveness of many advanced US-developed weapons currently used by Ukrainian forces on the front lines is being severely challenged by Russian electronic warfare. In particular, the Excalibur guided artillery shells, ground-launched small-diameter bombs, and Army tactical missile system have been significantly degraded. U.S. media reports that these precision-guided munitions are also standard weapons in the U.S. military arsenal. The issues exposed in the Russia-Ukraine conflict also reveal weaknesses in the U.S. military. The Pentagon is urgently addressing these problems. Hit rate decreased from 70% to 6% after 6 weeks. Defense News reports that the U.S. and its allies have committed billions of dollars in security assistance to Ukraine, including long-range missiles, armored vehicles, and secure communication equipment. The large-scale jamming and electronic deception carried out by the Russian military during this period has provided a rare opportunity for real-world testing of US-manufactured weapons. However, the results have clearly not satisfied the Pentagon. Michael Monteleone, director of the U.S. Army's cross-functional team for assured positioning, navigation, and timing/space, acknowledged on May 5 that the Russia-Ukraine conflict is a huge learning experience for us. Their main task is to improve soldiers' access to critical situational awareness sources, such as where they are, where they're going, and when they'll arrive. But electronic jamming and deception can render this information useless. Defense News also mentions that the Russian military's powerful electronic warfare has degraded the effectiveness of many US-supplied precision-guided weapons supporting Ukraine, including the Excalibur precision-guided artillery shells. Dr. Daniel Patt, a senior researcher at the Hudson Institute, a U.S. think tank, revealed in testimony to the House Armed Services Committee in March 2024 that when the 155mm Excalibur precision-guided artillery shells were first deployed in Ukraine, they had a 70% hit rate on targets. However, 6 weeks later, the hit rate quickly dropped to just 6% as the Russian military adjusted its electronic warfare systems to interfere. According to the article, since Excalibur mainly relies on GPS-assisted guidance to improve accuracy, when the Russian military targeted and deceived GPS signals, the hit effectiveness of the artillery shells decreased significantly. Daniel Patt added that the peak effectiveness of new weapon systems lasts only about 2 weeks before Russian countermeasures emerge. Many types of U.S. weapons are affected. The Excalibur artillery shell is not the only advanced U.S. weapon neutralized by Russian electronic warfare. The U.S. website The Drive reports that Bill LaPlante, Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition and Sustainment, recently publicly acknowledged that a precision-guided weapon system has been affected by Russian military GPS interference and other factors, resulting in significantly reduced accuracy. Although LaPlante did not reveal the specific name of this weapon, the details provided in his speech suggest that it is the ground-launched small-diameter bomb on which the U.S. military had placed high hopes. It was developed by U.S. company Boeing and Swedish company Saab. Essentially, it modifies the small-diameter bomb it dropped from aircraft. It is one of the very few long-range strike weapons that Ukraine has. With a range advantage of about 150 kilometers, this bomb can choose to fly in a circuitous route to attack targets from unexpected directions when gliding through the air, posing an additional challenge to the Russian military. Britain's The Telegraph previously reported that the ground-launched small-diameter bomb was delivered to Ukraine in late January 2024 and was thought at the time to be able to force Russia to move its logistical supply points further back from the front lines. Compared to the limited number of Army tactical missile systems sent by the U.S. to Ukraine, GLSDBs are much cheaper, so they can be deployed quickly and in large numbers. LaPlante admitted, "We gave this weapon to the Ukrainians, but due to several factors, including electronic jamming from the Russians, it's basically ineffective." After multiple failed uses, Ukraine has completely abandoned it. Though the Drive website mentions that JDAMER guided bombs and long-range guided munitions launched by HIMARS mobile rocket launchers are also being jammed by Russian electronic warfare equipment. These weapons use GPS for guidance and are very susceptible to electronic interference from the Russian military. In May last year, CNN cited at least 5 sources from the US, UK, and Ukraine reporting that the combat effectiveness of HIMARS was continuously declining, related to electronic warfare measures implemented by the Russian military. A large amount of leaked classified Pentagon documents revealed US military concerns about Russian electronic warfare interfering with JDAMER guided bombs through GPS jamming. Additionally, many types of drones supplied by the US to Ukraine are also at risk of being electronically jammed by the Russian military. The Drive website also mentions Russia's use of GPS jamming equipment beyond Ukraine. In the Baltic region, Russia's use of such systems may be to protect critical facilities and assets from long-range attacks by Ukrainian drones, but it has caused serious and potentially dangerous effects on nearby civilian aircraft. For example, in March of this year, the GPS of a Royal Air Force Dassault 900LX commercial aircraft carrying UK Defence Secretary Grant Shapps near Kaliningrad, Russia, was also jammed. How does the Russian military affect GPS? US media mention that precision-guided weapons developed by the US military in recent years rely heavily on GPS guidance. While they have advantages when dealing with terrorist organizations, issues have emerged when confronting Russia, an adversary with strong electronic warfare capabilities. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has demonstrated that these weapons are very susceptible to interference and deception by Russian military electronic warfare, and this will have broader implications as these precision-guided weapons are being used on a large scale by the US military and its allies. If they cannot resist electronic jamming and deception, it will be a fatal Achilles heel. The Russian military has invested heavily in electronic warfare equipment in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Although the West has different views on their effectiveness, it can be affirmed that as the Russian military continues to adjust tactics and equipment, their electronic warfare capabilities are rapidly increasing. When GPS signals used by the US military are transmitted to the Earth's surface from satellites in high orbit, the signal strength weakens and is easily jammed with relatively small power. Although the US military has also recognized that GPS is susceptible to interference and has installed selective anti-spoofing modules for many types of precision-guided weapons, Russian electronic warfare equipment can affect them in various ways, including applying powerful signal jamming measures to prevent precision-guided weapons from receiving encrypted signals, or sending fake GPS signals to achieve deception effects. All of these affect the accuracy of guided munitions. For example, the R330ZH electronic jamming system, which is now widely used by the Russian military, is well known for its wideband jamming capabilities and is particularly effective at jamming GPS systems. It is said to be able to detect and attack radio signals in the 100 MHz to 2 GHz band and emit jamming signals with a power of 10 kilowatts. This system has an effective range of over 30 kilometers. The US military hastily patched. Stacy Pettyjohn, Director of Defense Projects at the Center for a New American Security, a US think tank, believes that the experience from the Russia-Ukraine conflict has challenged the Pentagon's long-held view that expensive precision-guided weapons are the key to US victory in conflicts. The US military has recognized the serious problem that precision-guided weapons are vulnerable to electronic jamming and is rushing to patch this issue. Defense News reports that the US military has spent enormous sums on advanced electronic warfare equipment and anti-jamming devices, including signing a $318 million agreement with BAE Systems for military encrypted GPS-M code and purchasing next-generation handheld positioning and battlefield navigation systems from TRX Systems. Additionally, the US Army has also requested the development of a new jamming device that can be mounted on Stryker armored vehicles or carried by individual soldiers. The Drive website reports that the US Air Force is purchasing and integrating additional seeker devices designed to make JDAMER bombs capable of resisting GPS jamming. The addition of new seekers will allow JDAMER bombs to lock onto GPS jamming devices, turning the weapon most affected by this electronic jamming activity into an effective tool against it. This is similar to the HARM-E anti-radiation missiles that attack radars. The Pentagon statement says the procurement contract is related to a weapon sales to Ukraine, but the system is not expected to be delivered until 2025 at the earliest. The U.S. Navy has also announced that it will add electronic warfare complexes to unmanned surface vessels to respond to increasingly complex battlefield environments. A defense expert assesses that the conflict in Ukraine is an intelligence opportunity and provides the U.S. with a chance to understand how its precision weapons operate against modern threats such as electronic warfare. Mr. Kanchan states that the U.S. is working to address these threats by focusing on measures such as using narrower signal bands or creating stronger signals capable of preventing jamming efforts. However, the adversary always finds countermeasures that reduce the effectiveness of weapons. Observers note that despite the challenges from electronic warfare, the U.S. should not completely abandon its precision weapons. Even if Russia successfully uses electronic warfare, the U.S.'s task is to find ways for weapons to overcome attacks by these systems. At a media event in early May, Doug Bush, head of the U.S. Army's Acquisition Department, said it's not surprising that Russia can jam U.S. weapons. He said this is part of the continuous innovation cycles on both sides, adding that the U.S. is learning that with any precision weapon, you need multiple ways to guide it to the target. For some weapons, this has already been implemented. Earlier this week, the U.S. Air Force announced a contract to provide additional seeker devices for precision-guided bombs to counter Russian GPS jamming devices. Mr. Bush stated that the Pentagon has established a group focused on modifying its weapons to respond to electronic warfare issues on the Ukrainian battlefield. Analyst Withington says that the effort to adjust precision weapons to respond to electronic warfare is just one aspect of a multi-layered solution. Other solutions to this problem involve using different types of weapons and prioritizing targeting the origin points of electronic warfare signals from the outset. However, as the U.S. and Ukraine adjust their weapons to adapt to Russia's jamming capabilities and learn lessons from the conflict, the cycle of innovation continues. Although U.S.-sponsored weapons have advanced technology, Russia's electronic jamming capabilities remain a significant challenge. This highlights the importance of developing counter-jamming measures for the future. The military technology race between superpowers continues, and only time will tell which side will gain a decisive advantage. What do you think? Do you believe the U.S. can overcome this problem? Or will Russia continue to maintain its advantage in the field of jamming? Share your views in the comments section below. If you have experience or knowledge in this field, we would greatly appreciate your in-depth input. Don't forget to like the video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to the channel to not miss the latest analyses on military technology issues. Thank you for watching.